Order the South Carolina Retirement System Investment Commission meeting today, April 18th, 2024. Before I get started, I want to make sure that everything's in order housekeeping wise. Mike, don't have any announcements or any news to share? We're good?
I think the only thing just to kind of bring attention to is we will only be streaming the business portion of this meeting. You know, that's indicated on the agenda. I mean, obviously, it's still a public meeting. You know, the doors will be open unless we're in executive session for some reason, but we're only streaming the education. So we're only streaming the business portion of the meeting. We're gonna have almost a full day this afternoon and tomorrow morning of a series of educational presentations. So we will not be streaming those, but those will be in public. The doors will be open if anybody wants to attend and see those. But that's just a little bit different than the way we usually do it. So I wanted to, for folks who are watching, just want to make sure that we noted that.
Okay. All right, folks, we've got an agenda before us. I'd like to get a motion to adopt it, please.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the agenda in front of us today? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those like? The ayes have it. We have an agenda to follow. Next up, you folks should have been given access to and had time to review the March 2024 minutes. I'd like to call for a motion to approve those minutes as received.
So moved.
I have a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on the minutes from the March 7th, 2024 meeting? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of accepting and approving those minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? The ayes have it. Those minutes are now official. The next item on the agenda is the chair's report. I have no motions and nothing to report, happily. Next up is committee reports. Did we have any committee meetings since our last meeting? I don't believe we did. So we did not have any committee meetings. So moving right along, item 4 on the agenda, I'm going to recognize our CEO, Mike Hitchcock. Please lead us from here, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you will recall, at our last meeting, I presented to the commission an updated or proposed updated consolidated annual investment plan and statement of investment objectives and policies. I went through the various changes that were being recommended to the consolidated AIP SIOP. Given that we were, as I noted at the prior meeting, given that we were about to embark on a major asset allocation review exercise, the vast majority of those recommended changes really are more technical in nature and really in conforming changes rather than substantive changes. Certainly happy to answer any questions about any of those changes that anybody may have seen that has a question about in the interim. Also, there were there were several proposed changes to our governance policies. Again, primarily technical in nature, but really conforming to ensuring that policies conform to one another. Things of that nature. Certainly happy to answer any questions about any of the proposed changes, but I have not had any feedback from the commission in the interim, any commission members in the interim since we discussed those potential changes. So there is a motion in your to approve both the proposed changes to the AIP SIOP as well as the proposed changes to the governance policies. I'll be happy to read that at any point, or if there are any questions or discussion, Mr. Chairman.
Let's do this. Let's open up the floor for questions and comments to the document as amended. Anybody have anything to add or any questions to ask? We'll make sure that everybody is good with this. Is Reynolds streaming with us today?
He hasn't joined yet.
He hasn't joined yet? Okay.
He is planning to join remotely.
Okay. All right, folks, before I have the CEO read the motion, last chance to comment or question on the document as amended. Hearing none, Michael, would you read the motion, please?
And it just struck me that one thing that I should point out, so that it doesn't catch anybody by surprise when I read the motion. You may recall that we have a divestment policy, a Sudan divestment policy in the AIP SIOP. We have, given the way that we implement public equity now, we on a yearly basis certify that the means by which we implement our public equity exposure is exempted from that policy. So the commission is, as part of this motion, will certify that we're in compliance with that policy. And that's something that we did last year as well. So, but I just wanted to make sure I didn't catch anybody by surprise when I read that part, because that is part of the yearly exercise that we go through when we update the AIP SIOP.
So we're exempt, we think we're exempt from the Sudan divest
Yes, sir.
policy or statute, but we comply with it anyway. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, we're exempt because we basically we index. So there's not a requirement that we do what would necessarily be involved in ensuring that we don't have exposure to one of the companies that would otherwise be, I guess, for lack of a better term, blacklisted. So,
Just out of curiosity, do you know how much exposure we have in the Sudan?
well, the policy is more geared towards companies that either do business with, so they're not necessarily domiciled in Sudan. It's companies that do business with Sudan or support, in some way provide support. In order for us to, if we were making individual, security selection, or we had managers that were doing that, they were actually making intentional security selections, we would need to hire a consultant. And there's a whole process that we were going through, that we did do that back when we had, in essence, active equity managers.
Yeah.
We don't have that anymore. So the policy, if this is the way by which we implement the policy, the statute exempts us from having to do anything further than, so really, in essence, what we're certifying to is we implement that exposure in a way that doesn't require us to do anything further.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions or discussion? All right, Mike, if you'd read the motion for us,
Sure.
please.
The commission adopts the recommendations of the CEO and CIO to approve the proposed revisions to the consolidated annual investment plan and the statement of investment objectives for fiscal year 24-25 as set forth in the red number document pages 63 to 114 with an effective date of July 1st, 2024. Approves the proposed edits to the governance policies that set forth in the red number document pages 144 to 168 with an effective date of July 1, 2024. Certifies that RSIC is in compliance with the Sudan divestment policy without taking additional action due to the method of implementation utilized in the portfolio. And 4, authorize the staff to finalize the AIP SIOP by making any technical revisions or formatting edits consistent with the action taken by the commission. That's the motion, Mr. Chairman.
May I have,
Participants are waiting in the lobby to
I'll call for that motion, please, by one of my fellow commissioners.
Motion to approve?
I have a motion, may I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like. The ayes have it, and motion passes. Next on the agenda is a delegated investment report, and I'm going to turn the reins over to Mr. Berg at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have provided materials relating to you're going to click that a lot of times. It may be easier if Eric,
Just
you
drag
can
it.
go to it.
Thanks, Eric. So that'll avoid my workers' comp claim for carpet tunnel.
That's what matters.
That's right.
So
Always thinking like a lawyer.
owing to the short time since our previous meeting, we have only completed 2 investments, and you see them both here. We have provided materials, but I'm always willing and able to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for Mr. Berg involving the delegated investment report. Hearing none, the next item on our agenda is to recede into executive session. Before we do that, we'll make sure that all my fellow commissioners are fine with everything that's going on so far in open session. If you are, I'll call for the motion to be read by Mr. Hitchcock to recede into executive session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The motion is to recede into executive session to discuss investment matters and specific real estate and private credit investments, and certain portions of the consolidated annual investment plan and statement of investment objectives and policies pursuant to SC Code Sections 9-16-80 and 9-16-320, to discuss negotiations incident to proposed contractual arrangements pursuant to SC Code Section 30-4-70A2, to discuss personnel matters, and to receive advice from legal counsel pursuant to SC Code annotated Section 30-4-70A1 through 2.
For what he has read, may I have a motion, please?
So moved.
I have a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on the motion to recede into executive session? Hearing none, I'll call for it. All in favor of receding, please say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, for the no. The ayes have it. We are now in executive session. I would ask the staff to take appropriate measures.
This meeting is no longer being recorded.
What's that? Are they taking stuff out now, or are we doing that?
Session, back into open session. No action was taken in executive session. Now that we're back in open session, I think this concludes the business portion of our meeting today.
That's correct.
We're going to break and have lunch, and then at some point, the educational part of our session will ensue.
That's right.
So
Thank you.
We
That's
need
where we
to
are.
adjourn the business session?
We don't have to.
No.
No, we're still
in
it's still one
executive.
meeting.
We're still in an open meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And most importantly, lunch is here.
that's right.
Yes.
And my plan was for just